Cloud, and we're in the chill room. It's Tuesday, December 1st. Can you believe it? 30 days left in this year that a lot of us want to forget, right, Scott?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Most definitely.
Man. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rob Peters from Game Show Parties of Boston, the Bubble Party franchise, and coming in tonight to talk a little bit about how to do some networking. And we're in that time right now still with all of the changes and the fact that we're really not doing a lot of big events. A lot of NACE and ILEA and MPI meetings and even local Chamber of Commerce meetings and such are not happening face-to-face. They're happening virtually. Our whole world is spent virtually, Scott. And that's the weird thing is I probably spend at least 1 or 2 days a week, at least 6 hours of that 1 or 2 days a week on Zoom.
Yeah.
Whether it's a meeting or a client meeting or maybe I'm running something for one of the chambers of commerce. It's really turned into one of these things that I know I was using Zoom long before we had to use it. But I'm finding that it's been a little bit of a lifesaver. But there are some things that I think are important when it comes to networking. So, Scott, I wanted to just throw it to you first. And Scott's one of our Bubble Party franchisees. So we do these meetings once a month. And Scott, you're down in Florida. You're doing some events, but you haven't come back full force like the rest of the country, right?
It's been in a way, but it's been a small micro full force. And what I mean by that is most of the events we're doing are under 50. We're still with under 50, even though Florida has gained to be able to open back up. And a lot of people would say, oh, what are they doing? But we're doing a lot of small things, a lot of social distancing. I do requests by them either texting me or using some software. In fact, that John Young's son has put out. It's really great for people to get the QR code and can actually send you the request.
That's awesome.
And that keeps them from getting in your face, and it really does. And people respect that. When they see you up there and you have a mask on or a shield, they do respect that. We use a shield a lot.
Like one of these. It's my little RPE mask.
Yes, right there. Works every time. And that's what we've been doing. And we've been using Zoom a lot this year because that's where we've been doing our final meetings. I used it before for destination weddings because I do a lot of those in Florida, even events. But now it almost seems like once a week I'm meeting with a client, of course, for 2021 to go over things. And it just made it a lot easier. I can show them different things in the room, how we set up before, if I've been there previously. It's really a great tool. And that's what we've been doing. And then, of course, a lot of email and texting. But as you know, that's the new gen. That's the way I like to do it. I like to do face-to-face meetings. But if I don't have to and I want them to feel comfortable, then we'll do it this way.
I'll tell you now, for those of you that are watching the recording and talking a little bit, if you've known me, I'm in the game for a long time. I've been in this game over 30 years. And I did weddings. I mean, I pivoted my company 3 years ago to focus more on game shows and corporate. I don't want to say whether that was a good move or not, because everything shut down. My convention market dried up this year. My corporate market dried up this year. Luckily, I had some backup in store in case something like this ever happened. But the one thing I found with a lot of the tools that we were starting to implement live for the corporate market, it's actually paid dividends for us because we're actually getting calls to be an MC in a Zoom meeting like this.
Yeah.
For an annual meeting. I'm doing one tomorrow morning. I have a networking group at the Ungodly Hour of 7:45 in the morning Eastern. And then I'm out on the road most of the afternoon. I got to be back here for a a industry meeting at 5 o'clock. I'm part of the meeting. I'm not moderating or anything, but I have, and I'll get to what some of my schedule is and how this has worked and some of the tips that you can do to keep in touch with your network. I'm using this stuff a lot, but I think that's one thing that you can use over the next few months until things get better. In talking to a lot of people and following some of the media coverage, I am being very optimistic. I've been very optimistic since day one. I came on DJNTV and I said back in March that, oh yeah, this will probably be a couple of months. And here we are. It's been a long time since. So we're still in this, but I'm actually finding a marketplace in being the MC for things like a networking meeting for my Chamber of Commerce, or running a trivia game for the Greater Boston Visitors and Convention Bureau, which is what I'm doing next week. And I'm finding that this is helping me continue to do what I would do if we were at the New England Aquarium, for example, for a NACE meeting or something like that. It allows me to keep in touch, but I think some of the old stuff we used to do that we stopped doing has come back. For example, I'm sending out newsletters again for the first time in about 2 or 3 years to keep in touch with my network. And I think that it's important. You've got to do things like pay attention to the Facebook calendar for birthdays and do some things a little more outside the box to keep in touch with your network. I've told people this before, and I share this with everybody. Back in the day, Dr. Pepper. I'm a big Dr. Pepper person. I try to drink a lot of it these days. I'm more the diet Dr. Pepper guy, if you know what I mean. But Dr. Pepper back in the day, they had a 10, 2, and 4 on their label. And their marketing campaign was there were 3 times a day that you should be drinking Dr. Pepper, 10, 2, and 4. Now, if you equate that to marketing, it's a great marketing trick because you should find a few people every day and reach out to them at 10, 2, and 4. 10 o'clock isn't 9 o'clock. So, they're settled into their day a little bit. 2 o'clock, most people go to lunch between 11:30 and 1:30. So 2 o'clock is a good time. You could probably catch somebody live. And then 4 o'clock, they're probably not going to try to sneak out of the office early until around 5. And I find that I go through every day and I either will call or I'll email. More nowadays, it's email, because a lot of my contacts, because of the pandemic, aren't working in their office. They're working from home. If they're working at all, I would say that 1/3 of my network, 1/3 of the connections that I have in the venue aspect of what we do have either been let go, laid off, or just very simply aren't working right now. So it's easier for me to reach out to them by Facebook or email to be able to hit them up. And it's not a high pressure thing right now because we're all in the same boat, but it's a conversation about, hey, how you doing? How you holding up with everything? I know enough about the people in my network that if they've been in my network for a long time, it's not just a, Scott, you're a photographer I've worked with. I know who your wife is. And I know, if we've been friends for a while and we've worked together a lot, I know you got a wife and 3 kids, hypothetically. And I'm asking how the wife and kids are. We're having a little bit of a conversation and just trying to keep each other's spirits up. And I think that that's something that's really important to continue doing for however long this is going to take. I think after you do an event like this, or do an event with a Chamber of Commerce, if you're in a Chamber of Commerce mixer that's being done online, or maybe a NACE or ILEA meeting, asking the organizer who was in that meeting. Can I get a list so that I can follow up with them and send them a quick thank you? Hey, Scott, it was great to see you at the NACE Zoom meeting the other night. I hope you had a good time learning about widgets or whatever the topic was. And just, hey, stay healthy, stay well. it was good to see you is such a great thing, because we're not doing a lot of the, I guess, formal networking stuff. So, for example, I talk about one of these things, Scott, in conversations about how to make a proper introduction. Did you ever see How I Met Your Mother? That TV show was on CBS.
Yeah.
What's his name was in it? Doogie Howser. What was his name? Neil Patrick Harris. There was a tactic that he used to use to pick up women, and it involved his wingman. It was called the Have You Met Ted, where he would start a conversation with a woman who was probably a little bit boring, and when he wanted to pass that woman off, he would pull the wingman in and say, "So, have you met Ted?" We're not doing a lot of the "have you met Ted" kind of things happening right now. I will tell you how to make that pay off, though, in a couple of minutes. But Scott, are you a member of any industry organizations or chambers of commerce that does stuff like this?
Yes, I've been in the chamber. Now,
Okay.
our chamber, we're starting to pull back small mixers to where we get private emails, because they really don't put it out. They put it out to a lot of the prime people that are in the chamber. If that business more or less relates to your business, then they let you know, hey, we're having a mixer. That we used to put that public to all the members, and now they're what they call doing targeting marketing. If you understand what I mean by that, if you're kind of affiliated a little bit, or you can benefit off of that business, then they pull you in with that mixer and all. And if they're
Gotcha. Yeah, I wish more chambers did that. I wish more chambers did that. That's one of the hard things. And I relocated a few years ago, and not a lot of people know this. I closed my office, which was located right outside of Boston. I'm now halfway between Boston and Providence because I moved my business into my house. And when I moved down here, I had to rebuild my network in this area from scratch, because I didn't know a lot of people. So I started going to a Chamber of Commerce meeting. I got friendly. I'm now a member of 3 different chambers of commerce. So you talk about a busy schedule, right?
That keeps you busy.
Three chambers of commerce, NACE, and the Greater Boston Visitors and Convention Bureau. And I'm looking at adding MPI next year, which is Meeting Planners International. So you talk about being a busy guy, but you know what? It's all about maintaining your connections. Even though I've made some changes to my business model and to how my business operates, it's still one of these things that you've got to keep that up. If you fall off their radar, they're not going to think of you so much. But when I moved back down here, I got friendly with the president of one of the chambers of commerce, and they have what are called REM groups, which are basically small little clusters of groups that get together. It's a networking group.
Yeah.
And I went to this meeting, and it was walking distance from my house, which was great. And it was a convenient group right down the street from my house, but there was nobody in that group who, quite honestly, I'd ever refer business to, because I don't have the kind of clientele that was in that room. And then I wound up getting into another group that had a venue and had a photographer and had some other people that I could network with. And I find that that group has worked a lot better for me. But first of all, if you don't try the group, you're never going to know.
Yeah.
But you have to know, you have to go into this stuff, even in the virtual world. You have to go in and know who you're looking for. If you, most of these groups, when you do an online networking thing, you're going to go around and everybody's going to have an opportunity to give their pitch, their elevator speech, their unique selling proposition, their USP. When you're going through that in that meeting, if there's somebody who sparks your interest, because let's be honest, you're not in a room, nobody's making introductions. The moderator is doing all the work, which, being the moderator, is pretty cool, because excuse me, you get to be kind of the matchmaker, if you will, and you can see how certain people are going to connect and click, you know? So it's important to know who is in that group and who's in that room, And are they going to be a good fit for you? You might go to one month and it might be jam packed with connections. The next month, you might be the only person in our industry or within the events industry that's there. NACE and MPI and ILEA and your local visitors and convention bureau, those are great resources because you're going to find plenty of people in those groups to be able to network with. So I think that knowing what you're going to say is really important too in the virtual world when you're in this networking kind of environment and you have your elevator pitch. As I tell people as the moderator, it's not so much to me, Scott, that you are a DJ. It's not. What's more important to me is I want to know what a good referral is for you. I want to know what you're here for so that I can see if I can help you. Because that's why we're all in this group in the first place. Mm-hmm. So for me to say, all right, for Scott, for you to say to me, I'm looking for any bride that's getting married in the next 2 years. Okay. I might run into somebody in a week who just got engaged. Let's be honest. We're entering engagement season. Yeah. And it is going to happen that we're going to begin to get that stuff. So my biggest piece of advice is if you're watching this right now, the beginning of December, look at a local chamber of commerce, look at your NACE or ILEA meetings and see if you can at least get in and start this stuff now. And when you make a connection with somebody, don't be shy about following it up with an email. You don't have to, if somebody in the 60-second or however long they have for their introductions says something that appeals to you and you think you might be a good fit, hey, Scott, it's a very simple email. Hey, Scott, great to see you at the Zoom meeting tonight with Disc Jockey News. I'm wondering if we can get together either virtually or on the phone and talk about how we can better work together.
And see, the other thing that I work with the chamber, I also work part-time as sales. I do sales for our local radio station here. Mm-hmm. So I pull that avenue in with that. They're allowing me to do that. The station says, go ahead, you're a member already. Make your connection into that because you're an independent contractor with us on sales. I am on salary with the station, but when it comes to sales, it's a little bit different. And I use that avenue. Realtors have hired me to do dinner music or background music, jazz and what have you at an open house. And I was
that's pretty neat.
Room. Yes.
Nobody, you know what? I would have never thought that a realtor would have hired for something like that.
It was a exclusive housing development you're talking these houses start at $250,000 on up to, right at a course to over $250,000, if not more. And
wow.
So I was dressed, very professional. I didn't have a suit, but I had a tie and dress, dress pants, dress shirt on, and I blended in. We were kind of almost dressed the same, and I kind of, they didn't come over to me because I was kind of off to the side. But
so I have to ask though, did you wear a hat?
No.
Little joke before we get started with tonight's thing. Scott and I were talking, and Scott's been changing hats every few minutes, so
change back and forth, and we can get a little wilder.
Oh boy. Listen, if you got a Santa hat, you're all set.
All set, which I've got to get it out of the we're still in the process of decorating. But those ideas to work with the chamber I have done, and those are the things I've done. I've also played background music at some of the mixers. And those are, a mixer is a business that is just not so much a ribbon cutting, but we're highlighting their business. And people are just mingling. And of course, you have beer and wine and hors d'oeuvres and what have you. And I'm pulled in to do that. And a lot of times the client, the business is the one that's paying me. It doesn't come out of the chamber. It doesn't come out of their budget at all. It's something that the client, I pitch to them. I'll go by there a couple of weeks before their mixer and say, hey, have you thought about having some background music? Or, yeah. can you do that? And then I pitch a price to them, and it's affordable. You only really get about an hour and a half or so there, but it just adds to it. And it's not, of course, thumping music. It's just very discreet jazz type background music that you would have at something like that. So I've done that too, just to.
It's background kind of stuff, and it's great when we're in the live world to be able to do that. I have a whole seminar we could do about that, believe it or not. But in the virtual world, it's really kind of difficult to be obviously playing music and to be that guy. I'm finding a couple of things. I'm finding that when you're running these events as the host, and I actually have, for anybody who wants it, you email me, rob@robpetersentertainment.com. I actually have a cheat sheet on how to run these events that I'll be happy to send you absolutely free, no obligation, yours for the asking. I find that when you're the host, it's great. And let's be honest, we're comfortable in front of crowds and we have personalities. That's our job. So why not take that to a whole new level in this? And I do this for the 2 out of the 3 chambers of commerce I do. I run their afternoon networking, or I run their business after hours. And we'll do a 60-second elevator pitch from everybody. And then we'll ask them a question, because it's not so much about who they are and what they do, but let's be honest, you're more comfortable referring somebody who you're comfortable with. Is that pretty fair, Scott? So with that being said, let's get to know them a little bit better. Wacky questions like, what was the last restaurant you actually sat down and ate at, and what did you have? What's something on your bucket list? And some of these questions, there's a list of these questions that's on that cheat sheet, by the way. And the really nice thing about this is, again, you're putting yourself out there. So it's like a little showcase for yourself. You'll be able to showcase that you can run this kind of stuff. But the second thing about it is you get to hear everybody's elevator pitch, and then you get to go last. So you're the one that ties it all together. And then you should always be prepared, if you're hosting stuff like this, to have a couple of hot topics to be able to keep the conversation going for a little while. And those always help. When you're in an industry kind of thing, I think the biggest thing is I usually find that, for example, Nace and Ilea, they don't do 60-second elevator pitches so much. It's more of a, let's get reacquainted for a few minutes. It's very noisy in the beginning. They have a featured presentation, but the really nice thing about that is you get an opportunity to connect with people for a few minutes. And it's nice to go through the participants list and be like, oh, Scott's here. Awesome. Send Scott a quick little private, hey, Scott, how you doing? That kind of thing. Or, maybe I know it's your birthday coming up. And I think that that's an important part of networking. It's not just about getting to know Scott enough to be able to be working together. People want to be appreciated. And it doesn't matter whether it's live or virtual. So having a little idea about, stuff like that and doing something about it's really key. The follow-up is really key too. If somebody refers you an event, maybe it's a venue, sending them a quick email and letting them know you booked them, and I appreciate it. Thanks so much. That goes miles with these vendors.
Oh yeah.
I think I used to do a thank you gift.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of different things that we haven't done a lot of them this year for obvious reasons. But it's the holiday season, so we are actually sending out to some of the places, for example, the bars that kept us in business this year. We're sending them out basically chocolate gift baskets. I've networked with yet another business that I've pivoted to in 2020. I networked with a candy shop. Mm-hmm. And they make all their candy fresh right in the house, which is pretty cool. Ooh. But they also do shipping. So what we're doing is, to all the clients that we did work with this year, or that referred a lot of business to us, we're sending them out a quick little, it cost us under $20 and they do all the work. Like they do the label with our company logo on it. They actually put the little card in there with our company information on it. And it's a pretty generic holiday card, but they take the time to actually print our logos inside the card.
Oh, wow.
And we send them out. And, you know, it does get pretty interesting. When we were doing more live events, we would send out a thank you gift to every event we did. And the nice thing about it is people show that stuff off. And there are posts that I'll be happy to dig up if anybody's interested to show that I had one client, I do their gala every year. And she got her thing of caramels that we sent her after the gala, not last year, but the year before. Actually, it was last year. I'm sorry. And she made a post about it. She goes, does your DJ send you candy? If it's not Rob Peters Entertainment, you probably would never get one. She did it really nice. Took a picture of the canister, and the canister is the caramels from the store and the card that we sent that went with everything. And the whole thing cost me $20. I booked 3 jobs off of that one post. And they were all over $1,000 a piece. So I think the art of follow-up is something that still needs to happen in the virtual world, which is what I think is important. Where I see things going, I think we're in for a winter that is going to get a lot of people anxious, especially if what's going on in the world right now with the vaccine proves to be something that's going to be eradicating what we're going through here. I think the next few months are going to be something that we should definitely be focusing on, not only ourselves and getting healthy, but keeping those contacts maintained. I actually sit down every Sunday and I actually prep my week. And one of the things I do is going back to that 10, 2, and 4 thing. I have these, they're 8.5 by 11 sheets. And every day I put down what I want to accomplish, what my schedule is. Do I have to go do a bubble drive up, or am I out doing senior lunch with the hot dog business or whatever we're working on? And the really cool thing about it is I actually put down and put on 10, 2, and 4. I block off 30 minutes to contact 3 or 4 people. And if I don't get to 3 or 4 of them, I at least get to 1 or 2 of them. I could be on the phone with one of them for 30 minutes. But I rotate through my network and I look at who are the people that I really need to keep in touch with. Who are the ones that have gotten me this far? And I don't dig too much into it if it's somebody who hasn't. But if I find that it's somebody who's going to be falling off my radar pretty soon, I make a decision about whether I'm going to move forward with that or not. Mm-hmm. And that's that's a whole nother topic about how to maintain your network. That's really important. There's a book out there that's called The Referral of a Lifetime. I highly recommend it if you're going to look at maintaining your network. The premise of it is they talk about, we all know 250 people that would probably refer us, friends, family, business colleagues. And what they ask you to do is they ask you to make a list of 250 people. Now, it takes a while. Mm-hmm. And then what you do is you give each one of those people a category, A, B, C, D, E, or F. Basically based on, are they currently referring you a lot of work? Are they very likely to refer you a lot of work? Are they referring you a lot of work? Are they less likely or least likely? Basically, that's how you work it. Mm-hmm. And the key here is to always keep trying to get people into category C or above. Mm-hmm. And then if you find that you've got a lot of the D's and F's, either A, try to revive it, or B, recycle it, meaning take those people off your list and start going out and doing some networking to bring some new people in and seeing if you can get more of those people into C, B, or A. And that's what this book talks about. I highly recommend the Audible version because if you get Audible from Amazon, the audiobooks, because I think it really exemplifies the story part of what the author wrote. And you have to forgive me, you guys, because believe it or not, my cat has decided to join the show. And he's up on the table right now. So you have to give me 1 second here. Hang on. Come here, buddy. In the middle of doing something live. Come here. It's okay. Oh, come on, pal. This is my guy Tigger right here, and he's not too happy that I'm throwing him off the table. Tigger just made the national thing. That's awesome.
I feel like that you're over at Cheers.
That's actually the virtual background I have. Yeah. I figured I had to do something fun tonight. So, but to wrap up, I think it's important for you to take advantage of all these opportunities when it comes to networking. And I'll just review the key points, excuse me, of what we talked about tonight, because Michael's here. What's up, Michael?
Hey, Rob, how you doing?
Hey, good. We're just wrapping up here.
Okay.
But we're going to be on for a little bit longer, but we just want to wrap up some key points here. One of the key points we talked about is take advantage of all the virtual stuff that's going on. It's not too late in the year to do it, because you're always going to be doing it as a business owner. The second thing is, if you can, be the host. Offer to be the host to your Chamber of Commerce or a networking group. And I'm going to add a little sidebar to that, and that is, if you're finding that you've got a lot of people that are looking to network, put your own on. If you own the Zoom account, you're using Zoom every month, put your own networking group together and do a networking thing once a month. And again, the cheat sheet to run these things, you can get it from me, Rob at robpetersentertainment.com. I'll email it right over to you. It's a 2-page PDF. It's really easy to do. And then the third thing is take advantage of the industry stuff too. And remember, you want to make sure that you're doing some kind of follow-up. Yeah. And the follow-up is so key.
Right. Hey.
And it doesn't have to be anything huge. You don't have to send them a balloonogram. But send, drop a quick email. Hey, Michael, great to see you popping in tonight. Thanks for dropping by. Don't be shy about even the people that you're very friendly with that maybe you talk to once or twice a week, or if it's a venue that you're at quite often, if they're still in the room, at least acknowledge it. There's a saying out there that, I forget how it goes. It's about being invited to something. You might not always be able to go somewhere, but everybody always wants to be invited. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So don't be shy about being invited, or at least inviting them to be part of it. So,
and make it fun.
Yeah, make it fun. I guess the last thing I'll add to it is to talk about LinkedIn real quick, because I think LinkedIn is going to be very important for the people on our contact lists, especially with everything that's going on with COVID right now and a lot of the layoffs that have taken place and people's futures. I know that probably 1/3 of the venue contacts that I have right now are either laid off or not going back to their job.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to find those people on LinkedIn and make sure you're connected with them so you can keep up with what's going on in their world, even because their world might be a little worse off than ours at the moment.
Yeah.
So
I still like the networking tip you gave us up in Milwaukee a couple of years ago.
Which
Rob,
one?
Isn't that the hometown of Brian Thread? I believe it is. Yes. But the Toll House cookie deal.
Oh, Toll House cookie. Oh, the day. Yeah. You know what's funny is all those websites I gave you guys have gone, but there are new ones that have popped up, which is really cool. The Toll House cookie one, I'll share it for people who weren't there or are watching the post feed. Toll House Cookie Day. I can't remember when it was. I think it was August 4th or something like that. If you've heard about, it's National Car Care Month. There are actually little holidays out there for certain things. For example, there was a Friday in October. I think it was the Friday before Columbus Day weekend. That was National One Hit Wonder Day.
Yes.
Anyway, there's websites upon websites out there that keep track of this stuff. But August 4th was National Toll House Cookie Day. Now, Toll House cookies were made not too far from where I grew up, actually. They were the next town over. So what I do on Toll House Cookie Day is I actually go and I make an arrangement with the supermarket bakery. I go buy the tubs of chocolate chip cookies, and I stop at local convenience stores around the corner from 5 or 6 venues that I've made appointments with, and I grab a gallon of milk for each one. And we go in and we have cookies and milk, and we celebrate National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. And it's a great way to kind of open the conversation, because if you think about it, most venues Monday through Friday, unless they have a lot of weekday work, the chef isn't in. So they're sitting in their office, probably low blood sugar, and they need that little pick-me-up. Food can be such a great in-person networking thing if you're going to strengthen your networking things by going on the road. So that's always a fun one. So I enjoy that one, and doing some creative stuff with it. We're working on some stuff for next year once we can actually go back out and start doing more of these in-person meetings again. Everything has been such on Zoom. And when I started this tonight, I spend at least 2 days a week, at least 6 hours a day doing stuff on Zoom. So, I don't want this to replace the in-person thing, because as I tell people, and I think I opened that meeting, if I remember correctly, by holding this up and saying, this isn't going to help you cultivate a relationship as good as this is.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that even though we're living in the times right now where we can't do so much of this, we got to kind of improvise. But I think this is going to come back once things get better.
Yep.
So.
Yes.
Does anybody want to share some stories or have questions about it that you want to ask?
Well, I just probably popped in here at the last few minutes, and I probably will have to catch the rest up on Zoom. But I did catch just some of it there on ways to try to keep the connection going virtually, even if we have to do it virtually for a while. Oh, Rob, in the wedding end of it, I find this almost plays into our brides and grooms' hands, because so many, years ago for a wedding, the routine was somebody called you up, you talked to them a little bit and kind of said, maybe we should get together, and you set up an appointment at the venue or Starbucks or whatever, and you met with them. And if you were a match, they ended up booking you, and that's how things went. Over the years, it's gotten to be now where today's couples will go out online, maybe get referrals from a wedding network site, read your reviews, want to email you, get a price, and if that kind of matches what they felt was their predetermined budget, they're ready to book you, because hey, they've read the reviews. They want as little of personal contact as possible. It seems it's almost like an inconvenience for them. It's a little tough to still get that one-on-one, that match with them. But again, for those couples getting married, this probably gives them a good reason not to have to go get out of their pajamas and go meet with someone. But I'm still old school, like with you, Rob, and I'd rather just meet someone. I prefer always at the venue, if it's a public place. That way, you can just get more of a connection. I feel
it's about the connection, but it's also about trust.
Oh yeah,
and that's a major part of the conversation I have by email with people, and that is I can very easily give you a price. And you can tell me whether it's going to be good enough for me to do your wedding. But if entertainment is one of the more important things that you're considering for your wedding, it shouldn't be about the dollar figure. It should be about the person who you're paying that dollar figure to, and if you trust them to do the job that exceeds your expectation.
And I know that you segued quite a bit more to the corporate side of things now.
Oh
Have
yeah,
you?
well, that's it. It was funny. The conversation was 2 years ago. I made a decision to back off on weddings. I'm still doing weddings, but I backed off on my marketing budget and I put it all in a corporate. And look what happens. COVID comes in. I lose 2 major conventions, a ton of corporate work, but I picked it up in other places with stuff like this. So it's been really cool.
Mm-hmm. Have you, and the corporate side of thing, come across maybe clients that you prefer not to work with?
On the corporate side, not so much because we're specialized. When people come to me for a corporate event, it's because they want to have a live game show. In probably 90% of the cases, they want something that I'm offering as opposed to a DJ experience. They're getting Feud, they're getting the Big Pyramid, they're getting Jukebox Bingo or trivia. I will say this: there are some groups that I can tell you, and I don't want to knock the industries, but there are certain industries that you look at and you go, yeah, this is going to be fun. I will say the techies are kind of interesting because the techies will call you out on a technicality on an answer.
Oh,
Just because they know better, and they're like, well, in 1% of this technically is the answer. And it's like, listen, you got to be able to come back with it. You got to be able to know you can get away with it. It's, you look right at them and you go, listen, nobody really wants, a genius here. We just want to play trivia and have fun. I actually called the guy a smartass once, and I thought I was getting fired, but the boss was totally into it, so we kept on going. But it's a little bit scary. I would say, not work with so much, but I just prep for certain things. Like I know when you deal with accountants only want to talk to other accountants about how much money they save their clients. Truth. The techies, they just want to talk about the techie stuff. Like they look at your speakers and they look at your laptop and they look at your gear and they try to dissect it. And it's like, dude, we're playing a game show here. Just go out here and have fun. I haven't run into a group I haven't wanted to do yet. But again, we just got things rolling. Like this year was supposed to be a really good year for us. Luckily, as I prepped for everything. And one of the things I prepped for when this all started happening was what's going to happen when it all dries up. And it did dry up for a little bit, but we pivoted. We've done some different stuff. We're going into mobile food and catering right now, and we're rebuilding some of the other stuff we're doing. And I really am optimistic that if this vaccine does what they're saying it's going to do, I can see us being back to work sometime next year. That's my hope.
Yeah. Have you done, now I know you mentioned like trivia, the jukebox bingo. Have you done any of that virtually? Because I know that's out there.
All the time. I'm doing that. We do a weekly bingo, a weekly jukebox bingo. I'm not jukebox bingo. We do a weekly trivia event every Wednesday night. And it's actually pretty cool because it keeps my hosts really fresh and I rotate them out. I do a lot of jukebox bingo and other trivia events. I at least do probably 4 or 5 a month, but my schedule for this month is coming up to basically being 4 or 5 a week between now and the Christmas holiday. And just as a sidebar, I only started marketing this stuff yesterday.
Okay. How do you market something virtually like that?
2 ways. First of all, the last one I actually did a recording. I actually did a video. I recorded the video on Zoom and then I actually downloaded it, edited it, and did a voiceover on it. So people could see the actual game stuff going on. And then I actually used Constant Contact. I went old school. I went email marketing. And I sent it out to my database in this day and age is probably about 3,600 email addresses between my corporate clients, and I sent it out to my wedding clients because every wedding client's got a job, or at least most of them. So they're going to know somebody that's going to be able to help you out.
And I'm sure being a wedding client are already familiar with you, which gives you just a a bit of an advantage there.
Best referral ever, because when they rave about how much fun you were at their wedding and they tell the boss that they're going to be that much fun at the company party, it's an easy sell.
Mm-hmm.
But I went old school. We do some social media, and that's actually something we're ramping up for next year. I'm actually working on some stuff to be able to ramp up and do more social media stuff next year. But that's how I did it. I did a quick little short 30-second video that showed off the game board. It showed off people having a little bit of fun. And I sent it out to these people. And it, like I said, today alone, we had about 20 inquiries. And I would probably say 15 of them are previous clients that are going to book.
Okay. But these are for virtual?
Virtual, all virtual.
Okay.
Because we can't have, a lot of companies aren't going the route, they don't want to risk it.
Oh, sure.
Any company party I've done in the past has been at least 50 to 100 people.
Okay.
I've got one client that still is actually on the books for a live event this year because they want to do a game show. But if you're not near Massachusetts, Uncle Charlie, as we call him, Charlie Baker, the governor, he's looking like he just backed the list down last week or 2 weeks ago. So we don't know if they're going to be able to have their company party live or not. We're hoping to. But for example, tomorrow I'm actually doing a music bingo at a senior center in Dedham, which is about 20 minutes from my house. And we're piping it. We're using the drive-in technology where they're getting their bingo card and their marker delivered to their car. And we're actually transmitting the feed to their car using a small, low-range FM transmitter like they use for the drive-in movies.
Sure.
And I'm getting paid tomorrow for that and the catering.
Wow.
So, but that's a whole other story for another night, you guys. Listen, I have done, it's been great to do this tonight. I told John I'll do a couple more of these and I'll do some different topics for everybody. And we're getting close to the top of the hour. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. If you want the free cheat sheet on how to run your own virtual networking thing or how to be the host, rob@robpetersentertainment.com. Drop me an email. I will get it out to you. And then if you have any questions, you can correspond with me there as well. And Michael, you're coming up in about like 5 minutes. What are we talking about?
We're going to be talking about music list. Dealing with music list at weddings and other events.